Hey guys, I'm the model for bathroom signs, but you can call me Church. Welcome to Church on Monday, the podcast where I talk at you about shit I like. This week's drink selection is a 2-month-old bottle of flat Pepsi that I found in the back of my fridge, so if you're drinking along, make sure you get the correct vintage. Recently, I've been thinking a lot about how we as a society don't really deserve The Exorcist 3 to exist. I mean, shit, it's so good. How did that movie even get fucking made? So this week, I want to talk first about a trailer, then about a fairly new adaptation that was just released, and then a fairly old sci-fi horror film that I've been meaning to watch for quite a while. I'm gonna start off talking about the Doom 2020 trailer, and the first note that I have for it is simply fucking dope. Now, I love Denis Villeneuve, so I'm really excited to see what he can do here. I mean, Blade Runner 2049 is probably my favorite fucking movie of all time, and I love the original Blade Runner. He somehow managed to blow that out of the fucking park. And with his style of world building so well displayed in 2049, I'm confident in his ability to do the Dune universe justice and make it very fucking compelling. I mean, at the end of the trailer, they finally show the sandworms that he's supposedly been working on for like 2 fucking years, and it is impressive. You know, it's fucking terrifying. It's got the gravitas that you feel from the creatures in the books, and I'm a big Dune fan. I read through the first trilogy, and then I think I read God Emperor and maybe the fifth one. And I think Denny is talking about making movies for the first trilogy before God Emperor, and I'd be fucking thrilled for that if this one goes well. Now, the casting looks pretty fucking good. Most of the characters that they show off in the trailer feel perfectly cast. I am a little trepidatious about Timothy Charlemagne playing Paul. I think he'll be good in this first one. I'm happy to give him a chance. I'm excited to see what he will do in the role. But I think he'll do well in this first movie. But if they do continue making movies off of the original trilogy, I'd be interested to see how he deals with that character progression. But all in all, I'm really fucking excited for the new Dune movie. And I do want to talk about how great a follow up Exorcist 3 is to the original one. I mean, it takes the original protagonist's ending, his sacrifice, and just expands it and explores it from a different story perspective by following his friend, the detective, who eventually figures all of this shit out. It's a very clever thing to pick up on for a sequel and an expansion to the story. Oh, and I did just watch the Charlie Kaufman Netflix adaptation of Ian Reid's I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and everybody's talking about how fucking crazy this movie is. And it is honestly a little more confusing and dreamlike than the book, simply because of the visual element that's added on top of it. Kaufman really adds in some confusing and unsettling visuals pretty early on in the movie. It is honestly a very faithful adaptation to the book, at least until the very end of it. He does add in some unique elements, like the odd aging is far more visible on the parents of Jake, and there are more sequences with the janitor Now, I am going to talk about the difference in the endings here. They both convey the same idea, though Kaufman's interpretation is more cerebral and elusive, but I do kind of prefer Reed's original ending where it's a very effective suspense scene within the high school, ending in a very abrupt, though apparent, explanation of what's actually going on here. It's still obtuse enough to encourage interpretation and discussion, but I do understand why Kaufman went with this different ending, and I like the visuals of it, and I do enjoy the whole sequence. So it's kind of a toss up. I wanted a more horror driven experience when I first picked up the book, and that's what I got. And so I really liked the ending the way it was originally written, but I feel like Kaufman's new ending does fit the narrative really well, and I think it will work for everyone as well as the original ending did. So, no complaints. I thought it was great. Now, on to the dialogue. See, The Exorcist 3 was written and directed by the writer of the original novels. So, the dialogue is just so fucking crisp. And I don't think he has any other director's credits. I think this is his first film he directed, and it's very unique because of that, because it's direction from an author's perspective, not a filmmaker's perspective. So there are weird angles, the edits are very unique. The length of sequences is well considered like it's a fucking poem being read out on a stage. And it's just fucking great to hear these characters talk to each other. Like the discussion in the diner is so quick and witty, or the discussion in the police office. And fucking George C. Scott is just fantastic, as he always is. So, the dialogue, A++. Love it. You know, I've been a big fan of Event Horizon for a long time, and people have always suggested the movie Sunshine as a similar experience that I might really enjoy. So I did watch that this week. Now, it is strange because this oft recommended sci-fi horror movie that I would definitely be into is one where I didn't realize the cast was so fucking good. It's strange that that isn't like the top mention. Now, I knew that Cillian Murphy starred in it, and he's always fantastic. But you've also got like Cliff Curtis, Rose Byrne, Chris fucking Evans, and they all do a good job. Actually, here, I'll talk about the good things that I got from this movie, and then I'll get into some disappointing things or some things that didn't completely work for me. Now, good, great acting. The characters play off of each other well. They have established characteristics that they make interact authentically. Some of the shots in this movie are fucking beautiful. The cinematographer definitely knew what he or she was doing. It has good special effects. The suspense is really good in it. It is kind of a slow burn. It takes a while to get into the more horror-based conflict, but it is a suspenseful premise on its own, so it works really well to kind of ratchet up the tension through the entire film, and they do that really well. Now, some things that I didn't like too well is mostly the quote-unquote monster. It's kind of a confusing premise. This guy is possessed by maybe the sun, maybe some aliens that live in the sun. It's never made clear, which would be fine, except that he isn't built up as a character before he's introduced as the physical antagonist. You know, you always have that running clock, but he is what grounds the horror in the third act. And there were scenes that worked well for me, but overall, he did not work as a movie monster for me. They kind of dropped the ball on that character, but overall, I did really enjoy this movie. It's a good one. I would recommend it to anyone who digs sci-fi horror, especially apocalyptic sci-fi horror, where it's huge odds against a small team. Very fun. Would recommend. Now, to analyze the whole of this episode and kind of give you guys an insightful takeaway from this week's podcast, I really just want to say you should fucking watch The Exorcist 3. Anyway, you can always find me on Instagram and Twitter at its_just_church, or you can email me at churchonmondaypod@gmail.com. Those will all be down in the description. As always, I hope you have a fantastic week. Love ya. Bye. No tears. Don't fuck with more yet. Take what you can get. You're not my girlfriend.